You're listening to the AI Moment with me, Jonathan Wagstaff.
Me, Danny Denhardt.
And today, Dan, we're going to talk about how you get the most out of your AI subscription. If it's not really giving you what you want at the moment, that may be because you're still using the free version. And we're going to talk about what the early paid versions give you that are above and beyond that. How does that sound?
It sounds good. I think what a lot of people are struggling with when they try the free versions, or they try and work out which models there's a real disconnect between the output that they're expecting and then understanding whether it's worth the investment or not. So when people ask you the question, Jonathan, what is it that what are the benefits that you give people for going paid versus using the generic models that are free?
Well, I think from my point of view, it's really like the free version is like a demonstration version for me, whereas the paid versions are the full-blown product, if you like. So people try a free version and they get an average result, and quite often it's some of their early experiments with AI anyway. So maybe the prompt isn't great, maybe the prompt's quite generic or bland, and they get quite a bland result, and they conclude that it's all hype, this AI nonsense, and why would I bother? They're also sometimes in the mindset of treating it like SEO still, so they're kind of doing ask a question, see what the answer is, rather than having the dialogue. But of course, the paid versions, to your question, the paid versions of tools like ChatGPT and Claude, they're often stronger models. They've often got better limits to them. They've got more advanced features to them. They'll go deeper, they'll go wider, and so it makes the whole experience feel dramatically better. I remember the first time I tried a paid version versus a free version, there wasn't one thing I could put my finger on. It just overall felt like a better experience. I was getting a more robust answer, a more thorough answer. So it's just a bigger, better version. And the simplest model is the one I said earlier. It's like the difference between a free sample of the product and the product properly is the way I'd characterize it.
Okay, so for people who are still on the fence a little bit, still not sure about investing their own money or investing some of their company money, and say you're a small business and got between 5 and 100 people, that's quite an investment to make. What is it that you tell people? How do you get them engaged in finding the right paid model? Or is it just a case of doing like a trial and error business, like running a couple of licenses and then tackling it? Is it something like that you do, or you'd offer to people?
For me, I think we're talking about £20 a month per license, which is not the largest sum of money in the world, particularly in the world of SaaS. So for me, it's the best £20 a month that I spend. And in terms of the amount of time it will save you, the capability it will give you, the way it will strengthen your thinking, it's like try it for a month or two and see what you find, because individual experiences will be different. But I'll pretty well guarantee to anybody listening, you will find use cases for you that save you lots of time or give you much better answers to the stuff you're struggling with. And then, of course, as we've talked about before, Dan, one of the things it can do for you is potentially go and find discount codes. So you may find that if you use it to do that, you may find you get your 20 quid a month back anyway, because it's helping you find real cash discounts with other things you might be buying. And the example I gave a while ago was I was looking for car parking at Birmingham Airport, and it managed to save itself that month's cost just by finding that one voucher that I wouldn't have found anyway.
Sort of a quick story. I used to use Claude, and through Google Workspace, I was paying for Gmail and all the different tools. I was happy with Claude, but it was the free version. And it wasn't until I started to use Gemini and use it a little bit more often and started to use the gems that it really unlocked why I would shift over. And for people who've been listening regularly, it's been the last sort of 6 months since I really jumped across to Gemini. And the way that I explain it to a lot of businesses is, what you want to be able to do is have the best version of AI that you can afford. You want to be able to use it in the best possible way and in the safest environment. So free versions are often throttled. You often hit your tokens really quickly. And if you're getting it to work well and hard for you, it often will say you've hit your limit quite quickly. And the reason why I say a lot of this is, whether you're using and want to use ChatGPT, whether you want to use Claude, Gemini, or Copilot, often what happens is once people get that aha moment or get that magic moment, they kind of want to use it and want to use it as like their assistant. So from using the trial version and hitting the limit, you're kind of giving yourself this like start stop motion. And what that then does is it stops you wanting to work with colleagues and recommend it. So I'd just be very mindful of when you start these projects and you're still a little bit unsure or you haven't hit the light bulb moment, is how can you test these out if you're not willing to, to invest that £20 or £200 spend, or, £20,000 a month, depending on your business, how to get the most out of it. So I would just be a little bit mindful of that, and B, I'd consider how the better models that come about with the paid versions, so they can do a lot more and they can go, as you said, a lot more depth and breadth, but also they can have much longer conversations with you and tease out where you might struggle with the free version.
Yeah, and I think it doesn't need much, does it, Dan? If one of those tools, the paid version, can just save you an hour or two a month, that's all it needs to save you. It's almost certainly paid for itself. So, it's going to help with things like we've talked about content creation and writing. Great analysis tool. It can help you with planning. It helps coders with coding. It can help you prepare for meetings. It can help you learn things. There's all sorts of ways in which it can help you save time or move more quickly, which you end up with value that, for my money, the value is hugely above the cost right now. And really, the thing to measure for my money is it's not a question of, is this a new magical tool? It's like, does it improve how I work? Does it help me think faster? Does it help me draft better documents? Does it help me prepare more thoroughly? Does it help me learn more quickly? So is this a tool that improves how I work? That's the piece. And I don't know anyone yet who's gone to the paid version and said, no, this is not for me. I'm going to go back to the free version. I've just not seen that happen because it's such a good tool.
So if we were to give business leaders 2 to 3 ways to go from trial to subscription, what are the sort of 2 to 3 steps and ways to win would you recommend to people, Jonathan?
Well, if you're a business leader and you're wondering about your department, the first thing I say is try it yourself, right? Get yourself a paid version. And if your business is not sure about that or is a bit battened down, then get one at home. Spend 20 quid a month for the next 3 months on a paid version yourself, right? And start to experiment with it. Start to do your own experiments with it. As we talked about before, start with maybe a field that you know well. Do some work within a field that you know well, so you can judge the quality of what you're getting back, which should be enough to make you think, yeah, actually, this is a tool I want to go and use. So experiment yourself, and then of course you're in better shape to think about how it might work. And we can go back to some of the things we talked about in previous pods about the way you roll out AI, map your workflows, etc., etc. And a final thought, Dan, on that, today's AI plans, as we've discussed before, I'm not sure that this model is sustainable for the long-term future. So 20 quid a month might look very cheap in hindsight. We may be at a point in a few years' time where there's such utility that you're paying a lot more than this. It'll be worth it. But this may be the time, in other words, this may be the time in history to experiment while it's still low price to do so, or low cost to do so. What's your final thoughts on it?
My top tip would be, as we've said a number of times, is write out the problems that you're having or some of the issues that are reoccurring in your business, and then try the paid version and talk it through. So use a meta prompt. So ask AI, like, I'm having problems with these. How can you help me? Break it down step by step. And write a brief for some of them and see how much it helps you, because I guarantee that $20 or £20 will be returned to you pretty quickly from that. If you're still struggling, or it's something that you can't get benefit from, drop Jonathan and I an email at ai@dannydenhard.com, and I'm sure we'll be able to help you with a couple of different use cases, or send you some of the pods from before to give you a guide to the future and help you really unlock the power of AI. But I think if you can roll those 4 recommendations together, you'll be in a place where you'll be far, far ahead of some of your colleagues and some of your competitors. And then actually you'll see it as a return on investment really quickly. If you don't get it within the first week to 2 weeks, I'd be very surprised.
Would agree with that. Sounds like good advice to me, Dan. And certainly, as you say, if people get in contact, we will try our very best to help them. Good to see you, my friend, and I will see you next time.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Thanks for listening today, everyone. If you liked what you heard, please give us a rating and review in any of the podcast players. We have a supporting newsletter, which is aimoment.co.uk, that comes out on Mondays and Fridays with every pod, and we dive a little bit deeper, so please subscribe there. Have a great week, and we'll see you soon.